Okay, so you've brought us something really, really interesting for this deep dive. It's excerpts from The Morning Murli, dated April 19th, 2025.
That's right.
And our mission really is to kind of unpack the core ideas here, pull out the most fascinating bits for you, the listener, and, give you a bit of a shortcut to understanding what it's all about.
Absolutely. And as soon as you dive into this specific Murli, some key themes just jump right out. There's this strong focus on faithfulness. Faithfulness to what they call an unlimited father.
Unlimited Father, right?
Yeah, and then there's this emphasis on knowledge being the real authority, the idea of a spiritual study, and, well, this grand vision for how the world transforms.
Exactly. And, thinking about it, a couple of big questions pop up, I think. Like, what does it actually mean to be a faithful child in this particular context? And what kind of study is it really talking about?
Those are the core questions, definitely.
Okay, so let's tackle that first one, this unlimited Father and the whole idea of faithfulness.
So the text really centers on this unlimited father and being faithful. Well, it's presented as paramount, really important. And what's quite interesting is the analogy they use. It's like marital faithfulness.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the idea is your focus shouldn't waver, shouldn't be drawn to anyone or anything else. It needs to be solely on this father. And unlimited here, it clearly signifies something beyond, the finite, boundless.
That's a powerful way to put it.
Yeah.
And it seems like this faithfulness isn't just, well, encouraged for its own sake. There's a benefit, right? A promise attached.
There is. The text explicitly mentions gaining full might
Full might.
and consistently achieving victory over something called Maya, which later on we see is also referred to as Revan.
Right, Ravan. So it's not just devotion, it's presented as a path to, like, inner strength, overcoming challenges.
Precisely. It's about power, in a sense,
Yeah.
and that ties directly into the next big idea, the authority of knowledge.
Ah.
The text makes a really strong point that the Father's main authority, it isn't conventional power. It's not control in that way.
So what is it then?
It's the authority of this knowledge. That's the phrase used. It really elevates learning and understanding within this whole framework.
Right. The Father is even called the ocean of knowledge. And this study is taught to the children, as they're called,
Yes.
with the aim of making them as knowledgeful as the Father. So there's a clear goal, achieving a high status through actually getting this knowledge. It feels very proactive.
It is. And what's really fascinating is how they distinguish this place of study, this pathshela, from, say, the path of devotion.
Also.
Well, it explicitly says things like prayers, etc. That's not the main focus.
Okay.
Instead, what they call inheritance, and we probably need to unpack what that means here, is received through this specific study process. It's a very distinct method.
Inheritance through study, not devotion. So what kind of inheritance are we talking about? Is it wisdom, a role, status?
That's the key question, isn't it? The text goes on to say the knowledge itself is unique. It's about, get this, the beginning, the middle, and the end of the world.
The whole cosmic story.
Exactly. And it's presented as something the Father personally imparts, not through tradition or interpretation, but like a direct download.
Wow. Okay. And here's where it gets really interesting for me. This idea of becoming almighty authorities.
Yes. The Father is the almighty authority, and the text suggests the children should become like him, possessing that kind of strength, that power.
So it's not just about knowing things. It's about embodying a kind of authority, inner capability.
That seems to be the idea. And this power looks directly linked to overcoming Ravan or Maya.
Right. Those obstacles or negative forces.
Yeah. The Father apparently shows the methods, the ways to get victory over them. It's a very active approach, not passive acceptance.
And the listeners,
Yeah.
you, are identified as part of the Shakti army,
That's the term,
who
yeah.
can also call themselves almighty through the might the Father gives. And that might is identified as yoga.
Right. And we should probably clarify, yoga here likely means more than just the physical postures we often think of. It's about spiritual connection, inner power.
Definitely sounds like it. So there's this parallel being drawn.
Yeah.
Just like scripture experts are authorities in devotion.
Mm-hmm.
Those doing this study are on track to become almighty authorities and knowledgeful. It's a transformation of understanding and inner power.
It's a complete package, it seems, through this specific knowledge and practice.
Okay, let's dig into this yoga concept a bit more. The text says flat out, yoga is might, and it's crucial for service. What kind of service, and how does yoga fuel it?
Well, it emphasizes that serviceable children need a certain inner state, fearless, unshakable, and yogyoked.
Yogyuked. So, connected through yoga.
Exactly. It implies that deep inner connection and stability. So service isn't just outward action, it's doing those actions while maintaining this inner state. Success in service is directly tied to being in yoga.
And there's a warning, too, isn't there, about not being forceful?
Yes, that's important. Be yogic in service. It suggests a kind of empowered action, but not aggressive, rooted in that inner strength from yoga.
Makes sense.
And then there's this related idea of being in the stage of retirement.
Retirement, what does that mean here?
It seems to mean remembering the Father, remembering the home which is beyond sound, and consciously renouncing dirty desires. This internal shift focusing on soul consciousness that's presented as vital for doing service effectively.
So, detaching from worldly stuff, centering on the spiritual connection.
Basically, yes, it's about the inner foundation for outward action.
Okay, so with that foundation of yoga and inner focus, how do they actually suggest people go about doing service? What are the practical methods?
It's interesting. It actually encourages innovation. It tells the serviceable children to invent different methods for doing service by sharing their own experiences.
So not just a fixed rule book, more dynamic.
Seems so. Adaptable. And it gives some pretty specific examples of where to go.
Yeah, I saw that. Temples of Shiva, Kashi, talking to people bathing in the Ganges.
Right. It sounds like actively engaging within existing religious spaces, but obviously with their unique message.
And it says you need a shrewd intellect. Be sensible and clever.
Yes, suggesting it requires tact and understanding in how you approach people. And there's that reference to Hanuman.
Right, but metaphorically.
Exactly. Not literally sitting amongst shoes, but being insightful, strategic in how you connect. Then there's that rather bold statement
Which one of
that
them?
this is the only shop for salvation. And eventually, everyone, even sannyasis, will end up coming here.
That is quite a specific claim, but the underlying aim, you said, seems inclusive.
Well, the text says the Father's aim is to purify the impure and give everyone the inheritance of peace and happiness. And the children's role is to bring benefit to everyone. So while the only shop idea is exclusive, the stated goal is universal benefit.
Okay, let's shift perspective slightly. Talk about the bigger picture, this understanding of the world cycle in transformation.
Right, this is fundamental. The text introduces the idea that the old world has to be destroyed.
Destroy.
Yes, destroy to make way for the new world. It's a cyclical view of time, destruction, and creation.
And that's linked to souls forgetting the Father, the original source.
That's the connection made. And it brings in the Trimurti image, including Shiva, to explain creation through Brahma. And the Brahmin clan, created by Brahma via the father, is highlighted as significant in this process.
Right, the most elevated clan.
And they talk about practical ways to increase service, even mentioning distributing pamphlets from aeroplanes.
Seriously, from planes.
Apparently. Ideally, as big as a newspaper, it says, highlighting key points like the ladder, presumably some kind of visual diagram.
Wow. And they mention Hindi and English specifically.
Yes, as key languages for this outreach. Suggests a global vision, doesn't it?
It really does. And then there's this concept of the drama.
Ah, yes, the idea that everything is predetermined, every soul, even the Father entering from the incorporeal world, has their part to play. It's a specific framework for understanding, well, everything.
And understanding this cycle, this drama. What's the payoff?
It's presented as truly transformative. The key to becoming spinners of the discus of self-realization, rulers of the globe, masters of the world.
Huge claims.
Huge. And it's linked to the knowledge in the Gita, the transformation of an ordinary person into Narayan. It's profound, personal, and cosmic evolution through this understanding.
And we saw a practical example mentioned too, the spiritual museum in Jaipur.
Exactly. With that core message. By understanding this knowledge, human beings can become the masters of the world. It really drives home the intended impact.
And it stresses constant engagement, right? No sitting back.
Absolutely. Constant involvement in service. There's a sense of urgency, of importance in actively sharing this understanding.
Now, the text also brings in a figure called Mama, or Mateshwari. What's her role?
Well, Mama is described as being on service and appointed. It suggests a leadership role, someone with responsibility.
Okay.
But interestingly, the text notes her identity isn't found in traditional scriptures, which suggests perhaps a more contemporary significance within this specific path.
And they use an analogy to explain it, right? Like replacing a head of state.
Yeah, like a prime minister or head of an institution being replaced based on ability and current needs. It points towards a practical approach to leadership, not just hereditary or traditional.
Makes sense. Now, going back to foundational principles, it mentions the father's initial teaching is about having regard for others.
Yes, especially for those who are cleverer in this specific study. It seems to value understanding, fostering a culture of learning.
Interesting. So respect based on grasp of the knowledge, perhaps.
It seems that way. And it also talks about souls being engaged to the Supreme Soul.
Engaged, like spiritually betrothed.
That's the feeling. And
Yeah.
this engagement brings happiness, the prospect of becoming masters of the land of Vishnu. It's a very personal, aspirational connection.
And there's another analogy. The young woman and her fiancé.
Right, how her attention is totally fixed on him, even if unseen. That's used to illustrate the focus required remembering the one father constantly.
And that's contrasted with remembering multiple gurus or mantras in other paths.
Exactly. Again, emphasizing the singular focus here.
Okay, and this leads to that really evocative image, the wedding procession.
Ah, yes. But it specifies Shiva's procession, not Shankar's. With the father as the bridegroom and everyone else as brides.
What's the symbolism there? What's that about?
It seems to represent the father purifying everyone, making them beautiful or pure, and taking them home.
Home, away from the world.
Away from what's called the pyre of lust and onto the pyre of this knowledge. It's a metaphor for spiritual transformation, liberation.
And it's cyclical. This happens again and again.
That's emphasized. The father comes each cycle to purify and take everyone back.
Got it. Okay, so towards the end, we get the essence for dharna. These sound like the key takeaways for actual practice.
They are basically the core instructions for living this path.
What are they boiled down?
2 main points. First, renounce dirty desires, become soul conscious, do service, get might through remembrance, and develop that fearless, unshakable inner stage.
Okay, that's number 1.
Second, have regard for those who are advanced in the study, create methods to guide others, and basically aim to benefit everyone. Those are the practical cornerstones.
Right. And finally, there's a blessing and a slogan. What's the essence there?
The blessing is about knowing your own importance, your task, being an ignited light for world transformation, which happens through self-transformation. It mentions being a karma yogi.
Acting while connected.
Exactly. And merging your thoughts like a tortoise withdrawing its limbs. Control and focus.
And the slogan.
The slogan encourages moving beyond the struggle between remembering and forgetting the divine to just be absorbed in love and to stay victorious by being aware of your combined form, yourself as spirit, plus the Supreme Spirit, the Karavanhar, the one guiding things.
There's a lot there. Mateshwari's versions are also mentioned right at the end, aren't they? Briefly, what do they add?
Yes, the sweet, elevated, invaluable versions of Mateshwari knowledge. They explain Brahma's day and night, the cycle of light knowledge versus devotion darkness.
So the Father comes at the end of the night, the darkness.
To bring the light of knowledge, yes, and the darkness of devotion. It talks about moving from a world of sin and restlessness to a world of rest and comfort. It contrasts the land of liberation, which is beyond rest and restlessness, with the world of rest, the golden and silver ages, and our current impure world.
Only pure souls go to that world of rest.
That's the idea. Impure souls face settlement through Dharmaraj, like a karmic clearinghouse, before they can go back with pure sanskars or tendencies. Forgetting the Father leads to the maze of victory and defeat.
So the final point is about taking power from the Almighty Authority.
To conquer vices and claim the kingdom for 21 births. It ties it all together: power, purity, inheritance.
Wow. Okay, this has been, well, quite a journey through this, Murli. It's fascinating how it builds this whole worldview: personal conduct, spiritual practice, cosmic cycles, world transformation, all packed in there.
It really is comprehensive. And for you listening, it does leave you with things to think about, doesn't it? Like, how does this idea of a continuous study, a real dedication to understanding, resonate with your own path of growth?
Yeah. Or that idea of interchange being the key to contributing to something bigger. Does that connect with you? Where does that land?
Really powerful questions to mull over.
Definitely food for thought. We really encourage you to sit with these ideas. But for now, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yes, thank you.
We look forward to exploring more with you next time.